So this is some ads that we've seen local. This is what we're getting locally, and I put the one in the middle is a book about all the cures that people have been promised. This is one of my huge objections, is that there's so much literature out there. The article on the far, your right, says it treats cancer. And I don't know about any one of you, but I don't know if you've ever had to go and tell a patient, I'm sorry, you have widely metastatic cancer. And the best thing that we can do for you, sir, is to put you in hospice. Have you all had to do that? Because I have on more than one occasion. And he was 39, the one I remember, and he chose to treat his cancer with cannabis. It's not proven. Someday, maybe because the molecule will cross our blood-brain barrier, it is a strong anti-inflammatory. So someday, maybe, there's 400 or more chemicals in a cannabis plant, so we may be able to extract a chemical that's beneficial, but we're not there yet, and you will not get your treatment at a dispensary. So we are seeing these ads all the time. This woman here is a very prolific writer. I looked her up on Amazon. I tried to find out what her background was. I don't think she's a doctor, but she's sure giving a lot of information. Okay, so then we talk about, okay, what does it mean personally to y'all to have dispensaries here and have that here? This is, I'm just pointing this picture out here. This is my neighbor, right down here. I just want to bring this up one more time. I lived in Detroit for 18 years. I never saw a SWAT team coming out of my neighbor's house. This is my neighbor. The picture's a little bit blurry on purpose because the SWAT team didn't want their faces up. This is a Cuban cartel grow house. It was literally around the corner from me and across the street from a friend of mine. And every day that she opened the door, she looked at this house. You could see through the front windows there that they had taken everything out of the house, nailed the door shut, and they had 2 big commercial air conditioning units sitting there. And she called all the time and said, this is a grow house. But nothing happened until San Isabel Electric found out that they had tunneled their electric bundle under the driveway and live tapped into the junction box and was stealing electricity. They did the same thing with their water. So this was our neighbor. We were there. We asked if we could watch, and they said, yeah, you can watch, but stand on the side because they're always heavily armed. And I don't know if any of you want your kids or your grandkids riding their bike by a house that's known Cuban cartel or heavily armed. This was my neighbor. It was pretty shocking. My brother lives in Brighton. He's a firefighter. He's been a firefighter for a long time. This is his neighbor. His neighbor in a very nice neighborhood. And I didn't know this till my brother told me that when you have a grow in your basement, you don't really want the neighbors to see that you're running lights 24/7, so you board them up. And when you're a firefighter, if there's a fire in the house and the windows are boarded up, you don't go into the house because there's no egress. So my brother watched his neighbor's house burn to the ground because all they could do was fight it from outside. But again, you're putting all your neighbors at risk, right? We don't live in a climate that's very happy with fire, right? We're all dry climate, and it's like there's a substantial risk to your neighbors. So this is also what we're seeing in our community. My scribe, who helps me when I go to the emergency department, had a grow next to her. And one of my other partners who live in Parker had a grow next to her. And they're not putting grows in the bad neighborhoods because you don't want to put your product in the bad neighborhood. It could be your neighbor. And it could be a Cuban cartel or a Mexican cartel or a Russian cartel, but they're here, and this is what's coming into town. And finally, I have no disclosures to make. I don't get paid for doing this. I have